So we are still social distancing. We're still under the Tennessee stay-at-home order. Obviously we're out walking around, but the governor is lifting the restrictions, I think, here in about 4 or 5 days, and folks are going to be allowed to start opening businesses back up later this week. But we're not actually around anywhere. We're just out driving around some old Tennessee back roads today. Wanted to show you something really cool, something that you're not going to find most places. This is a super old cemetery, and some of the graves are so old they're actually above ground. Check this out.
Are the graves actually above ground though, or do they just stack the stones on top of the burial?
I don't know. I need to research that. There's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 13 graves here like that. And let me show you, if you can see in the background, those are short, so those must have been children. So I know we've seen where, you know, like back in the 1800s, or maybe an illness come through or something. Well, kind of like, you know, right now we're under the COVID-19. Something would happen, and it may take out several kids or a whole family. But you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 children graves just right here in a row. I don't know why, but for years we've loved stopping at old cemeteries. Just the history. I mean, just think about, like, that person, they were born in the 1700s and passed away about the time the Civil War was starting. So just think about what kind of clothes they were wearing for the burial, the old jewelry, if they had glasses on them, the old thin wireframe glasses. Just imagine the history that's in these old cemeteries. Hey, welcome back to the channel, everyone. I've been looking so forward to today's episode. We've been talking about doing a cooking episode for a long time. Now, I know it looks like we're in the kitchen, but this is actually prep for a camping trip. So if you've watched any of the episodes before, you've probably seen the Teardrop camper that we built. We call it the Camp Easy. And the reason we call it that is that we love camping, but we don't want camping to be a hassle. And back in our early days, camping was a hassle. Yeah, it was a big hassle. I mean, it took us forever to set up, and things were always breaking, and we've learned a lot more about it. So I told her, when we built the Teardrop, I want everything to go easy on our camping trips. And that's kind of the basis for this recipe. So what are we going to call this thing?
Smoky Mountain Taters.
Because when we go to the Smoky Mountains, we go to this theme park called Dollywood. Many of you may have heard of it. They got something similar to this, and I mean, there's this huge line of people waiting to get this stuff. These ingredients are, I guess these are things that most people just have around the house, right?
Well, they're ingredients I have around the house.
So what are we looking at here?
We are looking at potatoes, and I usually leave the skin on, but you don't have to. So I make sure I have potatoes that don't have thick skin, so whatever kind of potatoes you want to use, that's fine. I also occasionally put sweet potatoes in there. Just use whatever kind of potatoes that you have. Green pepper, you can substitute yellow, orange, red. I've used red peppers, and onion, and garlic.
Now, do you have to use real garlic, or you can use like a garlic powder?
I'm not a proponent of garlic powder.
All right.
I don't usually use garlic powder in hardly anything. I use the real thing. It's much more potent. And,
we've been schooled.
Yeah, well,
all right.
that's my opinion.
You put meat in it?
Yeah, I used turkey smoked sausage, which we don't use much pork. So I use turkey smoked sausage. I've also used Little Smokies. In this, I think also you could use the smoked sausage hot dog version. That would be fabulous. Yep. Or just use any kind of, kielbasa, whatever you want to use for that. I use chili powder. Some type of oil. I use canola oil. It's what type of oil you use is dependent upon what type of surface you're going to be cooking it on. And then I use salt and pepper. That's it.
So before we start actually chopping this stuff up, let me show you the big secret behind this and one reason why it's so easy. We're using, I call them suck bags. These are actually food saver bags for a vacuum sealer. A lot of people have these. I call them suck bags because it sucks the air out. I don't know, should we call it suck bag potatoes instead of Smoky Mountain potatoes?
Well, I put a lot of stuff in there, so I don't want to call everything suck bag.
Well, we can make like suck bag taters and suck bag chicken.
I made suck bag pasta.
All right. I'm going to call it suck bag taters. Anyway, we're going to be putting this in here, and the reason this is such a big deal is you can suck bag this, stick it in the bottom of your cooler if that's what you're using, and it don't matter if your ice melts and gets water all over it. It's still going to be nice and sealed, and all you got to do is just cut the top off, dump it in the pan when you're at the campground, and you're ready to go. And
everything, all of these ingredients go into one bag.
Yeah.
You don't have, even the oil, everything. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about getting out a bunch of stuff to cook. You just dump it in a skillet, kettle, whatever.
Easy.
Yeah.
Super easy.
Super easy.
All right, so we're ready to get this going. What's the first step?
You just need to chop everything up.
And how much pepper are you gonna put in?
Honestly, this is a really huge pepper. I don't think I've ever seen one this big. So I'm just gonna use half of it. I would say 1 green pepper.
So am I right in saying that most of what you put in here, you're just gonna put it in to suit your
Absolutely.
I mean, some people like green peppers more than others. We love them, and this is a huge pepper, but if you don't like as much pepper, just don't put as much in there. So she's just gonna chop this up.
Yeah, I chop it into, kind of chunks. Just make sure that every single thing that you cut is close. I mean, not exactly, but similar. Because you want it all to cook at the same amount of time.
So now I asked her if we could use like all the onion, and I kind of got a dirty look, but she agreed to let me use a bunch of it because we love onion.
We really like onions.
Yeah.
We go through a lot of them.
You may not want to get near at the campground, but hey, we got social distancing going on. 6 feet, man, we can do this.
They're cooked.
Yeah, they are. They're cooked, so it takes a lot of the strength out of them. So she gave in on the onion, so I'm going to give in on the garlic.
I think you'll be happy.
Yeah, that is a pretty good sized bowl though.
Yeah.
Yep. So the last thing, I guess, is for you to put your oil and your seasonings in there.
Yeah, and this is totally up to you how much you want to use. I know it sounds weird, but I just usually put like enough to cover the top.
Enough to cover the top?
I would say that's probably a tablespoon.
Okay.
Maybe a tablespoon of chili powder, whatever chili powder it is you choose to use. Salt and pepper. We don't eat very much salt.
We don't eat much salt at all. We've kind of got used to not having that much, so we don't put much on there.
But Michael really likes pepper.
I love pepper.
I usually kind of pepper things kind of heavy, and then he can go back and put more if he needs it.
That's probably, I would say, close to 2 teaspoons of black pepper that I'm looking at.
Yeah, but I'd probably put just 1 teaspoon in there.
Yeah.
And then maybe I put like a half a teaspoon of salt because the chili powder is really salty according to which brand that you buy.
I love black pepper.
Now, the other thing is the oil. According to how you're going to cook this, you're going to need a higher temperature oil. If you're going to use an iron skillet, you probably need a higher temperature than if you're going to use a non-stick skillet, because then you can use maybe something like olive oil. But I'm going to use canola oil for this because I know we're probably going to make it outside on an iron skillet.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be using a non-stick skillet, I mean, you can use something like olive oil if you want to use that. After stirring it and looking at it, honestly, I think it probably needs a little bit more oil.
Okay. I'm gonna hold this here, and I guess you just scoop it in. That way you wanna do it?
Always fold it down if you're using one that has a zip. That way you don't get stuff on the edges of the zip.
Okay.
So that it'll seal better.
I think it's hot that you know that.
Trial and error.
Ain't nothing wrong with flirting with my wife. Cut me some slack. So after we suck bagged it, we're left with two things. One, we're left with some dirty dishes, which you can clean up in your dishwasher instead of having to fool with it at the campground. And since it's in a suck bag, check this out, it's marinating in its own juices.
And it's super easy to go in a cooler.
Yeah, so speaking of the cooler, let's get this in a cooler and let's be ready for the campground. All right, y'all, we're actually in the front lawn. That's our campground today. We're still having to social distance along with everybody else. But the cool thing is the DIY Teardrop Campers community on Facebook is hosting a virtual camp together, a virtual camp out, I guess you could say. We're sending messages back and forth on the Facebook feed, videos, live chats, and we're all camping together, but we're doing it around the world. And we're doing it while we're making Suck Bag Taters. So let's get started.
We've got the pan heating up on medium-high heat, but we're going to turn it down to low once we put everything in.
Part of the episode is showing you the Suck Bag Taters, but the other part is, and probably the biggest part, is just talking about how well using a suck bag to carry your camping food works. Let me show you inside the cooler how dry the bag and the content still is, even in a bunch of water. All right, so check it out. Even though the ice has melted and there's a lot of water in there, which would kind of replicate several days in a in a good cooler, the contents of the suck bag is still dry and it hasn't leaked out. So this is just crazy. You can stick food in here for days on end, have ready to go meals, ready to heat and eat, and this is what makes it so easy.
You have a couple of choices on how fast you want this to get finished. You can either let it go low and slow for quite a while till the potatoes get nice and soft, or you can add a little bit of water, just a bit, and then you can put the lid on it, and that'll help the potatoes steam, and that'll speed up the cooking process.
What are you doing, Zap? Zap! Zap! So that was our cat, Zap. He's an old stray that just turned up here a few years ago, and I don't think anything killed that cat. Matter of fact, I was working on the lawnmower one day on the fuel lines, and I spilled some fuel on the ground, and Zap come up and started licking the gas, and he took off running across the yard and just fell over. We thought he was dead, and ended up he just ran out of gas. So the potatoes are just to the consistency where you can push the spatula through with a little bit of effort, and I feel just a little resistance when I'm trying to stir it, which means it's starting to stick to the bottom. That is perfect. So we're ready to start the caramelization process. So we're going to pull the lid off and let the veggies finish cooking opened up. So is it accurate to say that using a little bit of water steams the veggies, gets them cooking quicker, but then the oil finishes it off and actually fries it and caramelizes the outside a bit?
Yes. So at this point, all you have to do is let it sit and fry until it gets the char darned as much as you want.
Okay. Now, if you're not careful, if you don't do this with a lid on it at first, you can burn off the flavor of the spices to where you can't really even hardly taste them.
The garlic will actually burn.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I don't know what's hotter, my wife or that skillet of taters. All right, so the moment of truth. Do we like it? Start with the sausage here. Well, I better start with the tater. This is Suck Bag Taters. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Perfect amount of seasonings, don't you think?
I can taste just a little extra chili powder.
Extra chili powder.
Yeah.
Why would you taste extra chili powder?
I don't know, because I don't know. I think I suspect something.
You think I've been up to something? This is so good. Listen, anything is better outside anyway, but Suck Bag Taters, you can't beat it. I mean, you certainly can't beat the name. I mean, how much better of a name than Suck Bag Taters can you get?
Or Smoky Mountain potatoes.
Wonderful. There you have it. Suck Bag Taters.
Smoky Mountain taters.
I hope you enjoyed that. That is absolutely hands down one of our favorite, maybe even the favorite camping recipe that we like to take whenever we need something simple. We don't want to have to do a bunch of prep in this small galley. We just absolutely love it. So, hey, if you like this episode, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to come back. We hope you do. All those things really helps the channel grow. And until next time, take care. We'll see you on the road. All right, so you see that little bit of black, that little bit of soft black on the end of the spatula? That's skillet loving right there, son.